Hello guys, welcome back onto the channel. The Crew 2 and Forza Horizon 4 are two of my favorite modern arcade racers, which is interesting as both are competing for the same open world racing space. And as someone who has put a lot of time into both games, there are things I like and dislike about each of them. In this video, I'll list 5 things I think the Crew 2 does better than Forza Horizon 4. Keep in mind that this is my personal list and that it may not reflect how you feel about either game, which is totally fine. That said, show me your list in the comments down below. A video showing 5 things I think Forza Horizon does better than the Crew 2 will come at a later date. Let's get started. What I like about the Summit is that it doesn't hold your hand like the festival playlist in Forza Horizon 4 does. Rather than relying on AI to create a challenge which more often than not does not do anything to make it challenging, the difficulty in the Summit lies on the players themselves. Since the rewards are tiered, if you want to unlock the best ones you have to compete for the top 3000 spots in the leaderboards, and this can be very difficult depending on what platform you're playing on. On Xbox One, for example, I've had no trouble qualifying for the top 300, but on the PC I missed out on nearly every single top reward since the game came out. Only recently I finally started cracking the top 3000 and it still takes a lot of work for me to stay there. This grind to stay within this margin gives you a sense of meaning and satisfaction that Forza Horizon 4 simply doesn't, and for that reason unlocking rewards in the Crew 2 feels a lot better. And on top of that, the Summit never feels boring or repetitive because the developers are always switching things up. You have themed events, you have the summits that are focused on different disciplines with different car requirements, so there's a lot going on to make each one feel distinct. And the rewards are just as varied, allowing you to unlock upgrade sets, customization items, and exclusive cars you can get anywhere else in the game. Every tower nailed the formula and I really like the gameplay loop here. And speaking of variety, there's a ridiculous number of disciplines available in the game. There are street races, which you can do either in cars or bikes, drift, hypercar, drag race, rally raid, motocross, rallycross, hovercraft, aerobatics, demolition derby, jet sprint, monster truck, powerboat, touring car, with just like street races you can do in cars or bikes, air race, and Alpha GP. And thanks to this huge variety, it takes a lot for you to get bored. Even stuff I wasn't initially a big fan of, like hovercrafts, eventually grew on me to the point I would grind out events to try and unlock better parts so that I would have a better chance at scoring more points when a certain summit happened to feature hovercrafts. I like how despite catering to such a wide range of different types of players, it still manages to make every single discipline feels distinct from one another. They're constantly tweaking and even completely reworking the physics to make it feel even better, and this lack of fear to adjust things to such a great degree is one of the things I appreciate the most about the developers. As some of you may know, I usually don't care for customization in racing games, but the Crew 2 is probably the first game I have ever played that made me care about it. The game offers so much customization categories, and week after week they release new customization items, most of which look pretty cool. Aside from being able to swap out individual parts on your car, paint it, apply liveries, and customize horn sounds, you're also able to pick from a selection of custom tires, nitro and smoke colors, window tints, and underglow. When you put it side by side to other games, it definitely stands out. And as I said, every week they release very distinct new customization items, which makes you feel like there's always something to look forward to. Have you seen just how gigantic the Crew 2's map is? Seriously, take a look at this. The entire Forza Horizon 4 map corresponds to just a small fraction of the map on the Crew 2. It's so big so that in fact, it takes you at least 4 hours to drive around it. 4 real-time hours, mind you. It's ridiculous like that. Another thing that's very impressive in this game is the fact that if you can see it, you can reach it. In practice, that means that anything that's visible off in the distance can be reached either by car, plane, or boat. The game allows you to seamlessly switch between vehicle types on the fly, and this, coupled with the map size, gives you a sense of freedom I have never felt in any other racing game before. The developers are also constantly adding new events to help populate the map even further. Of course, it's physically impossible to fully populate a map that size, but the new events always make the game feel fresh, which is something that can be said about Forza Horizon 4. This is a sticking point to some people, as I know not everyone is a fan of live service games. I personally like it a lot because it constantly gives you something new to do. The Crew 2 is a prime example of live service game done right. My biggest issue with post-launch support in Forza Horizon 4 is that it feels the same despite the constant flow of updates. You're doing the same events over and over again to unlock the new cars, and that's it. That's the only new thing they add regularly, and while I definitely do appreciate it, I can't help but be bored sometimes. When it comes to the Crew 2, it's anybody's guess. We never know what's coming next, and that makes it inherently exciting. Not only that, but every new update is far more meaningful and big, adding new disciplines and completely new things for you to enjoy in the game. Two of my favorite updates so far were the hobbies, which added over 300 checklist type activities for you to do, with rewards you can only get by doing them, and Summer in Hollywood, which added themed events, which I hope is something they keep building on top of in the future. There's another update scheduled to release in November that's going to add cops into the game, so I'm very excited for that as well. As you can see, they're pretty beefy updates in general. However, Forza Horizon updates are monthly, whereas the Crew 2 updates come once every 3 or 4 months, so it's natural they're bigger in scope. Still, that's something I hope Forza Horizon 4 adopts in the future. For now, the Crew 2 takes the crown for the best post-launch support. Before I wrap up the video, I wanted to do an honorable mention to sound. Like customization, I don't usually pay too much attention to sound, and I don't generally think it pulls me out of the experience when it's poorly done. But I have ears and I can definitely recognize when it sounds good. Rather than describing how it sounds, I'll let it do the work. Just listen. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.